All right. Now let's continue on to the Bimani age. So basically, Parappa the Rapper comes out, and a couple months later, Konami releases a game called Beatmania. And Beatmania is kind of the grandfather of all future music games. Basically sets the stage for everything. It lays down the whole thing that falls down. That stage.
I'm covering up the other two buttons.
Okay, well, it's a 5-key game that's basically that. But the turntable would be on the other side. Yeah, you gotta flip that, Steve. Flip it. Flip it. I'll keep talking, you flip it. So basically, it's 5 keys in a turntable. And again, they pioneered the entire concept of everything. It's, thing falls down, you press a button, or you spin a turntable. Music selection, like all that stuff. Basically, everything that's in music games, Guitar Hero was kind of pioneered in Beatmania.
Do this.
You good? You good? All right, so that's basically what the Beatmania controller looks like.
Right there.
Give Steve a round of applause for. He has a PhD in panel flipping. So anyway, so Konami releases this game, and it actually does pretty well in arcades. This was released to arcades initially. It comes out on PlayStation soon after, and Konami said, this DJ game's pretty good. Let's take this Beatmania name and we'll shorten it to Bimani, because those Japanese love to shorten their names.
Oh, that's where it comes from.
Oh yes, Steve. So it's very interesting. So again, Japanese people like shortening their names. Anime, for example. I don't know if any of you know this or are familiar with the art of Japanimation, but anime is actually a shortening of animation. There you go. That is a case in point, I'm sure. It's a little factoid. I thought I'd throw that out there and expend some knowledge upon you. So Konami says, we're going to release a bunch of stuff under this Bimani line. We're going to do, well, I'll show you the next slide, but we get this, where basically Beatmania comes out, that's once DDR, Pop Music, Guitar Freaks, blah, 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 blah. So basically Konami says, okay, we're going to make all these music games and we're going to release them and we're going to try to make a ton of money off of this stuff.
Now, I see Beatmania I. What is that?
That is Beatmania 3, which came out after Beatmania 2DX, which, by the way, 2DX we have set up in the game room if anyone wants to give it a shot afterwards. Someone apparently has.
So everybody wants to try DJ Hero.
Oh,
It's
yes.
actually, the DJ Hero test location.
Yes, that's true. Yes. So Konami releases all of this stuff, and they milk it. Basically, they just release all this different stuff, but based on the same thing. And what happens after? This is kind of interesting because we're gonna see what happens. Market gets oversaturated. Tons of games come out. People just kind of don't give a crap anymore. And Konami releases all these these peripherals for the PS2, PS1, and stuff like that. And nobody really cares after a while because they keep releasing all these mixes, all this stuff. And Konami kills off a bunch of their things and blah blah blah. But all this stuff still exists today. The Power and 2DX, the Guitar Freaks, Drumming. This is a choice quote from Jason Enos.
Let me, since I'm the bigger gentleman and Jason is quite the big gentleman himself, I will read this. The American market is not concerned with plastic peripherals for video games.
Wow, you actually do that pretty damn accurate.
Thank you, Jim.
That's kind of weird because he said that. When did he said that? Like Jim, you would recall. When did Jason Enos say this?
I'm not sure when he said that one.
Would it be before Guitar Hero came out?
It was definitely before Guitar Hero.
By any chance? That's strange. Okay,
Well,
I just thought I'd throw that in there.
You're sometime before Guitar Hero and after Beatmania US.
No, actually,
Beatmania US came out after Guitar Hero because it was a rip-off of Guitar Hero, remember?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So Harmonix makes a bunch of games, Frequency, Amplitude, and they sell miserably, so they don't make any more of that. Karaoke Revolution comes out, Harmonix does all this other stuff. So the basic point of this whole slide is to say that American developers are kind of scared to try music games themselves because no one in America likes plastic peripherals.
No, not really. Nobody's going to really buy plastic peripherals and have a house full of fake guitars and drums,
Or
microphones,
DJ controllers, or anything of the sort.
bongos.
Bongos? What? It's true.
Rock and roll sucks.
And Jake? And Jake?
Tech, no, I say tech, yes.
Oh, you. All right, keep moving on. So Konami realizes this huge thing coming out in Japan, and they're like, well, let's try pushing it on those stupid Americans. So what happens, they release a bunch of these games, which are basically the first versions of their arcade games in Japan, and nobody really cares, to be completely honest.
These arcade machines had, what, like 10 to 20 songs a piece?
If that, no.
And they were very expensive.
It was bad, basically. But they just kind of threw them out there to see how they would go. They sold horribly, obviously. But DDR actually catches on a little bit, which is why Konami kept releasing mixes, obviously, for PS2.
Yes.
But the funny thing about that, which you may not know, most of the DDR machines were just imports from Asia, which Asia, Asia.
I mean, that's in, I'm just saying.
Well, see, you say Asia, that usually covers
well,
the Eastern Asian countries. Rush Limbaugh, excuse me? Russia is in, Russia. Russia's in Asia, so technically all Russians are Asian. I'm just throwing that out there. It's true. So DDR catches on, which is, again, funny because all these machines that people are using are illegal, and Konami should technically be like, hey, wait a minute, this is supposed to be in Japan only. What's going on?
this isn't cool.
Yeah, but apparently not. Konami turns a blind eye or whatever. Karaoke Revolution catches on, so that's all good, and nothing else really. So, again, to review, Japan likes music games for a little bit, and Americans don't.
Americans reject it.
They reject it like a kidney from another blood type, could we say?
Yeah, we can say that.
Yeah, we'll say that. They reject it like a kidney from a different blood type. Kicked it to the curb. Alright, and moving on. It's not really the Dark Ages, but basically, again, B-Mania, Poppin', Guitar Freaks, and Drum Mania, and stuff like that. They get their releases in Japan, but there's not a lot of new stuff coming out. We get a bunch of releases like Guitar Man, Technic Beat, Taiko.
Guitar Man does rule.
Guitar Man is very fun, but again, nothing really catches on. We don't get sequels to these things, and most of them just kind of experiments to see how they do. And DDR just suddenly, for some reason, stops being made.
Yes, DDR Extreme, several years, there's just nothing. And there were still arcade scenes growing all over the country. We had a really good arcade scene around this area, 8 on the Break.
We love 8 on the Break. And they make very good cheesesteaks, just
Best cheesesteaks in the world.
It's true. So after this little period, Red Octane, which you may have heard of, Steve, we'll come back to that. But anyway, Red Octane's this tiny little company online. They're making these peripherals for DDR, basically dance pads and things like that. And they import third-party controllers for other Bimani games. Keep in mind, Bimani games. And they say, you know what? We're going to publish In the Groove. And
In the what?
In the Groove. It's kind of like DDR, but it's that. And they go and they publish this, and guess what happens? They get sued by Konami. Surprise.
Konami will sue.
Now, we have a side rant that we need to go on about In the Groove.
Yes.
So basically, In the Groove was an upgrade for dance machines, for DDR machines. The upgrade is debatable, hence the quotation marks. But basically, they kind of marketed it as an upgrade from DDR. Now, the thing is, In the Groove was a labor of love from a lot of DDR players. So, the thing is, Konami stopped releasing all these DDR mixes, and a lot of the players said, where's the new stuff? We want new stuff. Let's kind of release our own. We'll make a company, and we'll kind of publish our own dancing game that we can use in normal DDR cabinets that everybody has.
And they did.
And they did. And that's, again, it would have been different if Konami was still making DDRs for the arcade, but they weren't. And a lot of people were buying these bootleg things which had changed graphics on them. It was getting
bad stickers with horrible artwork.
Slippery when wet.
So basically, Rockstar kind of stepped up to the plate, and you gotta give them a lot of credit for that. So Konami goes around and they sue them, and that's kind of not cool. And to give you an idea of how this feels, we made a little demonstration.